I'm the voice of Night Industry 2000's microprocessor, KITT for easy reference, KITT if you prefer.
Yes, it's all about Knight Rider, isn't it? So today I'm joined by William Purviance. Do I pronounce it correctly? Yeah?
Very good.
Who back in the 80s had the very central role of getting KITT cars unharmed to the different filming locations. William, thanks for taking the time to have this conversation. I look very much forward to hearing about your experience on the show. Now, first of all, for all of you viewers, if you look very careful in some of the episodes, you can actually see the car haulers in the background. And in the episode, The Ice Bandits, one of the trucks actually played a role with KITT eventually turbo boosting up on its trailer. So this is the type of car hauler that we're talking about. But let's get to it. William, I had the chance to look at your resume. It's really impressive. Can you talk a bit about your background and other working experience before we get to all the Knight Rider stuff?
Okay. Well, I got a phone call. I was driving for Napa Automotive. They sell automotive parts probably around the world. Napa. I worked in Los Angeles, and I worked the night shift. I drove a truck, and I drive all over Southern California delivering auto parts. And one night I got home. It's about late. I get a phone call. He says, "Be at Universal. Be at the Barham Gate at 5:00." 5:00, and he said, "Well, that means 5 o'clock in the morning. Be there." He says, "Bring a quarter for the parking lot. Get on the bus, and go down there." And so I just got off work, working all night. I went to work at Universal, and there was, at that time, about 600 or 700 drivers that were working with all the production that was going on. And I got in, I got my days, I got my lot seniority, I got my grouping. I just worked every day, and doing the hard jobs, the jobs that other people didn't want to do. You know, it was dirty, and you know, you're out there by yourself in the rain, and you got a car with a dead battery, and you know, I could, you know, it was hard, but you get good at it, and that's the main thing. You don't want KITT to get scratched. You know, let Jack and the boys tear them up. It's okay for them to put a couple of dings in KITT, but if I put one breathe on it wrong, I mean, that car, that's the hero. That's the most important thing on the show, and you do not take any chances with the hero cars or any of the cars ever. It's something you're clowning around, racing, or rev the engine, or showing off, and something happens, and they can't get their shot. You're history. Yeah. So I've always worked picture cars. I've always been on the set. Usually, I worked with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger up in San Francisco on a show called Junior, and I get to work on the Arnold Schwarzenegger show that's where he gets pregnant. And it was an Ivan Reitman film, and we were on the set. I had 2 loads of cars, and I'm with Danny and Arnold, and we're on the set, and so I would take them back to one, and they'd get behind the wheel, and they'd drive up, and they'd get out, and I'd take it back. Anyways, Grip put a stand behind the car while we were, you know, practicing, rehearsing, and I went to back up, and the stand was in the way, and Danny DeVito goes, "Those damn Grips." And I told him, I tried to be a Grip, but they found out my parents were married. And he laughed so funny, and I got to drive Arnold in front of camera more than once in this movie called Junior. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. But we went to Carmel, California, which is just north of Big Sur. It's just beautiful Pacific Ocean and trees, and a wonderful location. And you know, I had to take 2 trips. I had 2 loads of cars. I had to go to L.A. and then pick up cars and then take them back up to Berkeley, San Francisco. And then the rental cars, all the crew had to have rental cars. So when we were in Berkeley, then we moved to San Francisco, and then we moved to Carmel, which was our third location. And then they wrapped, and I had to take everybody's the director's rental cars. They wanted me to take Arnold's Humvee somewhere. You know, I had to take care of that, and then plus all my picture cars. And but it's work. It's you know, a lot of guys just aren't cut out for that, and when I get on stage and I'm supposed to be there for a purpose, I'm going to tell them, you know, this is what needs to be done. And I've always gotten a lot of respect working on a set during commercials. I did car commercials with camera mounts, and the only reason I got into commercials because I was driving, I was doing a show driving for set dressing or property where they drive, they decorate their sets. And I forgot what anyway, the guy that I worked for in property was on stage in Hollywood, and then a key grip says, "Hey, do you know a good driver? I'm looking for a driver that I can count on." He said, "Yeah, call Bill," and he gave him my number. I get home, this key grip, "Bill, you want to meet us on stage tomorrow? We'll go through the truck. I need a driver, and I heard that you were good." I went down. I worked for this guy for 5 years. He taught me everything I know about cameras, dollies, lighting, everything, how to tie off, I worked on a ET cereal commercial where I had a spaceship, and I had to rig it on a shiv, a big pulley, because I knew how to backsplice rope. The freestanding big heavy line, I know how to splice it back when it would go on a shiv to operate the spaceship to go up and down on stage by a wineless or an endless. It's a counterbalance system. You have a bunch of weights here off stage, and then you have a shiv up high, and you have your spaceship. And then you put, they had lights and ET, and they had like a jungle and forest on the stage. And it was, this was 40 years ago. And and then to do car mounts, you get there, you show up, and you take the cars off the truck, and you get, everything set. You start doing the mounts or getting hooked up to the insert trailer, which takes half a day to the sound guy's got to run his microphone, and the cameraman, they have like 2 or 3 different cameras. And then on Knight Rider, one of the episodes, he's talking, and you see our yellow cable over his shoulder. Well, that's a battery cable that goes from the battery that was in the car, camera battery, to the Aeroflex camera that was mounted on the side mount. And they didn't care about that stuff. And they shot from the hip, let's shoot this thing and, let's go home. That's your motivation is, let's get the job done and then we get to go home. And, whatever it takes. And, take a hard half lunch, which is 29 minutes. We're going to take a hard lunch, 29 minutes, because these meals are killing us on this production, and you're losing light. The light is constantly changing, and then before you know it, you're breaking out the lights and the shiny boards, and it's dark. And then and then the same thing when you work all night, you want darkness, and the sun starts coming up. You hear the birds singing, and it's supposed to be a night scene, and it's dawning. And you really got to hustle to, I got kicked off a show in San Francisco. It was called The Net with Sandra Bullock. And I'm on a set with all these special effects and stuntmen. The sun's coming up. He says, "Oh no, we need the car 180, right where it is, but we want it turned the other way." I got it. I went down to the end of the street, punched it, spun it out, came back right on the mark, got out, and the stunt coordinator wanted me fired because he thought I was taking one of his guy's jobs.
Okay.
But what happened was they were in production, and the guy says, "Well, this Bill was squirreling around with one of the cars on the set, and my boss said, "Oh, you mean Bill, the guy that bought all these cars up here from Los Angeles?" On the last minute, they called. I was working on stage. They called me. I'm in San. I need 7 cars here now. And my boss says, "Go ahead, take off." I was on stage, so I got the car hauler, picked up the 7 cars, and hauled ass to San. I was there 8 hours later. Unload the cars. They got their shot, and I was the biggest hero in the world. He brings us up at the production meeting that they wanted to fire me, and they said, "Yeah, right. We're not going to fire this guy. He saved us, and he was doing his job on the set, because we were fighting the lighting, and a lot of times. One time I was on set, and they're doing an action shot. They go action, and they have a dolly track going down the dolly. Well, they had it plugged into the charger, and I ran over while they're rolling, and I unplugged the dolly. Nobody noticed, but people, "What are you doing?" Nobody knew that, once they reach the end of the line, there's going to be a problem. So, nobody saw it. You just have experience on the set, and you fall right in, and you get the shot, whatever it takes.
Okay, great stories. Coming back to Knight Rider, any story on how you got that job?
It's a lot of times there was 2 trucks that were identical, 2 matching white trucks, and I was the second truck, and if the other driver was sick or something, I knew the routine, so I would take if he wanted to take the day off, I would fill in for him. But if not, I would haul other cars also. Besides, you see all the other cars, they call them nondescript cars, or just regular cars that you see driving. Well, they have to get out there too. So I would haul those, and you're running around. You're always taking the car to the body shop to make sure they block sand it. You always had to make sure that it was block sanded every time it went to the paint shop. And then we'd go to the frame shop right up the street here, Bob's B&I Frame Shop. We'd take the wrecked cars up there. They'd put them on a rack and stretch them all back out, and they'd sand it down and clean it, and it was all ready to go again next time it went out. And it was a lot of work. There was a lot of cars. There was the right-hand drive car, which me and my friend were going to taking the car to location. I was behind the steering wheel, and he was driving in the right-hand drive car. It had like a little chain steering wheel, like in a lowrider car. Yeah. And he was steering the car, and I was sitting behind the wheel. And I think we drove by a cop, and I thought, God, this is so fun. And we weren't really doing anything wrong. And then when we left the wine area, what was it, about the diamonds or something?
Yeah.
They only needed the certain cars in San Francisco, and the other driver had brought his son on location. So we'd keep our bags in the cars, in the KITT cars, because we didn't have anywhere in the cab to put our baggage. And I said, well, I'm going to ride in the KITT. He kept the #1 KITT car right on the top front car, just right above the driver of the cab. He said, I'm going to ride up there, and his son could have the seat. And so I drove. It's got to be 60 miles or so from sitting up, and you're up. Nobody can see you, and you would go under a tunnel, and it was like, or over the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, that's. I've crossed it going up and back with the Knight Rider cars, but to actually be in a Knight Rider car and driving over the Golden Gate Bridge while you're chained down to the top of the car hauler and going through the tunnels and coming into San Francisco, and it's like just like a ride. I mean, you're in this car, this fantastic car, and everybody's looking and they can't see you, but it's just a feeling of, wow, this is the big time. It's like, here I am working, and I've got a good job, and I'm on a good show, and it was a lot of fun.
How did that work? Did you work on different shows simultaneously, or was it Knight Rider for a period exclusively?
I'm having trouble understanding you.
Okay, and did you work on Knight Rider exclusively for a period of time?
Well, when we were on location, when we went up north, basically I took the cars up there, and then I just hung out all day long for like 2 weeks when they were ready to come back. Because the stunt guys take the cars, and they're gone, you know, and there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can't do any other job, so you just hang out. And you know, they feed you. They put out breakfast and lunch and dinner, and you know, in San Francisco, we stayed at the Four Seasons Cliff, and we would come off work late at night. I mean, with jeans and, you know, work clothes. These people would be wearing black tie in this hotel that they put at the Four Seasons Cliff in San Francisco, and it was a black tie event, and we'd come in like a bunch of slobs, and, you know, it was, you know, we didn't care. We were tired. We wanted to go to bed because you got to get up, you know, 8 hours later and go back to work. But just only on distant location. But from the beginning, though, I remember seeing them working on the dashboards in the shop with all the soldering and all the little plastic pieces and all the glue and the carpenter's workbench and in the mill area where special effects, everything used to be in one building. It was huge, but it was special effects and painting and where they construction for sets and they actually built the car. And you could, each time you'd go in there, they'd be working on another one, or the welders would be working, welding on the one of the blind drive cars. There was left-hand blind, right-hand blind. There was a bunch of blind cars. And the blind car is the car that's driven by you don't see the driver. And it came from the Westerns when they would drive a wagon with a team of horses, and they'd cut out a little slit. And the hero, John Wayne or somebody, would be sitting out driving down the thing, but the actual driver would be driving, and you'd never see him. And that's what Jack did. And those guys worked so hard. And the editors on that show, I mean, it's amazing how they can just cut to, there's Michael, and he's got his dialogue, and he'll be in one place, and then he'll be in another place. It's like the same. There's like 5 different main places. You see a white fence, that's Portero Road. If you see a bunch of oil lines laying out in the field in some like desert area, that's Sun Oil Company. You see one area where it's like rugged real mountains and no other traffic. That's the old Templin Highway. It used to be Highway 99 before the Interstate 5 came. It was called the Grapevine because it was such a windy, twisty, mountain, dangerous, treacherous road. And this one section where they filmed on was a part that they just cut off. And it ends at a dam up at Castaic. At Lake Pyramid. They put up a big dam, and that's where this road ends. Well, they do a lot of filming up on this. It's just a piece of the road they cut off. And it's probably maybe 7-8 miles long from the main freeway, just north of Los Angeles. But they had like specific areas where they would film and do their stunts without having to worry about the public or anybody else getting down or anybody watching or anything. And but they would cut, and they'd be in all these beautiful places and just going to in the show. And I know exactly where every one of these places are. I can look at any Knight Rider and tell you where it was filmed at. Or any other show. I can say, oh, that was at Portero Road, or that was out at Crystal Air, Palermo, these outlying areas where they get these beautiful beginning sequence and the end sequence, and that's where I ride my bike. It's like an hour from my house. I mean, I can cruise all in my neighborhood every time I I see my grocery store on Night Rider. They pull in the parking lot. And it's like, wow. I mean, it was all done right outside the gate or inside the studio. They would film anywhere. I don't remember them having their own stage. They would just make use of somebody's office, hotel rooms. They would, do anything to, shoot from the hip and get this show done. And it was a lot of work, and it's just amazing how the crew pulls together. The camera crew is amazing. You can see them in almost every scene in the reflection. Usually a close-up reflection, you'll see John Pinner and the guys. John's always he had that Greek fisherman's hat, and he's a big man. And I started in camera when I started at Universal. I worked at Night Camera, and I got to meet all the cameramen. And I actually met James Hong Wow, very famous cinematographer, and his theory was to try to have your foreground equal your background as far as focus. He thought, they should somehow, you need to get them both. That was his theory in photography. So I met many cameramen, and I still have a lot of friends that are cinematographers. And I was always interested in camera. I would go around to the stages. I had a cart, and I'd pick up the film. I'd go to each stage. I'd go up to the camera in front of everybody and I said, do you have any film? Exposed film to take back to the loading room, because they would download the magazines with the exposed film and then reload it with raw stock, and then you would take it back. So they always had film, and they would come in 100-foot magazines or 400-foot for your smaller cameras. But I started in camera, and I learned all about cameras and film and lenses and filters and cameramen and assistant cameramen, and then when I did commercials, I actually did a dolly shot. The dolly grip says, Bill, can you listen up and watch the dolly? I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm standing there on stage, I'm pretty hot, and the director walks up, he gets on the dolly, and he goes, we're doing a beer commercial. And he says, okay, we're looking straight down. The lens is straight down on top of the table of a bottle of beer. And this was a shot. And so he gets on there and he's looking, he says, okay, take me up. So I grab the boom arm and slowly just start taking him up. He climbed off that dolly. He says, I want a dolly grip in here right now. Get this guy out. I'm thinking, what happens? Well, if he's looking straight down and he wants to go up, that means I have to move forward, not come up. And that's, just one of the little things, you get yelled at, but that's how you learn.
Yeah. So at the end of working day, there must have been some KITT cars that were very damaged.
Damaged?
Yeah, damaged. How do you remember that?
I've had a lot of damaged cars, and whatever it takes, you winch them on, or whatever it takes to get them out of there. And I've had cars that were totally just a shell, 4 wheels and a steering wheel and a body, no brakes, no engine, a burned out hull, and unload it off the truck and load it back up using cable and just let it roll off. Because the hydraulics, you can change the position of the carrier. So you have a car up there, and you go like that, and it'll roll off. And, you just get out of the way, here I come, no brakes, nothing. And you just you just pick up the pieces and run.
Okay. Any memories on the different types of cars?
The what?
The different types of KITT cars, there were many different.
There was, all the jump cars were like dune buggies. They had the fiberglass KITT shell, and then it was on a dune buggy. And they had a roll cage, and it was really hard because you had to climb in and out of the roll cage. And if you were by yourself, you might have to get in and out of that car 2 or 3 times to load it or unload it without damaging. To get out and look, and you make your adjustments and climb back in the window. and then, you know, try to get it on or off the truck without screwing it up. And a lot of times it's nighttime, it's raining, you're by yourself, you're out in the mud, you got a car that doesn't run, you have to pull it on or push it on, whatever you have to do to get that thing back to the studio. And it was hard. And, you know, everything happened, and you know, you just take the ball and run.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to, you know, to get the job done.
Would they typically repair the cars overnight?
Oh yeah, overnight they would go to the body shop and to the paint shop and the upholstery, whatever they needed. It had to be done so it would be ready for the next time they needed it. And it was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of cars. I'm not sure, but I think there was like 12 or 13 cars, and each one pretty much did a different thing. You have your main beauty car, and then you have the one that, you know, it's the go-fast car, or, you know, the hot rod. Then you've got, you know, the one with a nice interior, and then each one has a certain job, and that's why they have it, you know. And then with the miniatures, I see a lot of miniature work, and I can spot it real easy. Just by the, you know, it's so good with their models and everything, and it kind of sticks out. But it was a rough show. They you know, they didn't care about you know some clutter on a scene, or they just go on, you know, bang bang, shoot. Here's the dialogue, shoot it. You know, let's move on. You're always moving on, and let's get this and go. And you know, we're burning daylight. We need to get this shot, you know, and then there's always a change. You know, we decided we want to do this now, and that happens, so you have to deal with it. And I had to pick up the cars, like in preparation. You go out and pick up a bunch of cars, but each car had to be numbered. You had to have keys made for it, and then spare keys. The original keys would stay in the garage. Each car would be numbered, and then there was like a 3-page checkout for each car that Universal rented. And it was like a lease agreement, the terms, and then a complete inspection. I mean, it was a sheet this big of and then there was an exploded diagram of the cars, and you'd indicate any damage. You had to go through, I mean, if I had to pick up 7 cars, I had to spend at least 7 hours. Like, it seemed like it takes like half hour, 45 minutes to write up each car to make sure that, because a lot of people think that they've got a gold mine in their car, and if something's missing, boy, they're really going to clean up because they're a movie company. And a lot of people like to take advantage of, you know, if something happens, if something got damaged, they know you're a big, rich movie company, and it's just a question of how much money they get. But, you know, I had an old truck on top of the carrier, and it had wooden stake gates. Well, one fell off, and I didn't see it, but a stake on the side of it's a wooden gate, fell off and hit some guy's car on the freeway. I got back to the studio, and the boss says, oh, by the way, one of the pieces of your truck hit some guy's car on the freeway. And oh, you got to be kidding. It was in court for like 6 years. This guy, I mean, I was giving depositions to the lawyers, and it's a big deal. So you can't really afford to make any mistakes. You gotta be pretty thorough, and just don't mess up.
So on a typical filming day, did you go to different locations with all the cars?
They would take, usually they'd set up a base camp area, like a central area, and then they would go out and they would come back, and they would, you know, change magazines, or, you know, come into the base camp and, you know, maybe come off the trailer and go on to the, you know, doing the stunts with the cars off the trailer. And there was always they would figure out, like, you'd go to Long Beach, and they'd get the scene by the bridge, they'd get the scene downtown, they'd get one, they have the race course there, the Long Beach race thing, and the Queen Mary and all these, features, and they like to see all this stuff, in their backgrounds of their films, and Knight Rider was done. Everything's pretty much done. They went to Chicago, but what happens is they get beauty shots. They'll go to Chicago and they'll take some nice pictures, and then a lot of it is back at the studio. It's on New York Street. It's on stage, and then stock footage. They'll have like all the stock footage of Chicago or Las Vegas or any city. We did on Murder, She Wrote. Our place was Mendocino, California. It was supposed to be Cabot Cove, and then we'd go there and we'd get all the beauty shots, and then you cut it with the scenes, and it looks like, well, they did the show in there, but it was actually done at the studio for the most part.
Yeah.
And I've worked on. That's all I've done is for almost 37 years is drive around and work on cars. I had Colombo had two 59 Peugeots for his car, and I get to drive those and drive up on the set and talking to actors and stuff. I got to talk to Jonathan Winters when I was working on a show called The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, which was an animated live-action show. And I had 3 locations, Los Angeles, Sacramento, and Santa Ana. I mean, they were like hundreds of miles apart. We had all these cars. And I saw Jonathan Winters. And I said, we worked on a trash bag commercial a few years ago. And he says, oh, I remember that. And he sat down and talked to me for 20 minutes while the crew was standing there waiting for him to do his scene. They're wondering, who's this guy talking to Jonathan Winters? Well, once you work on a show with somebody, it's camaraderie. You're friends forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, he didn't care. And you don't really care about the show that much. You want to get it and get it done and go home. But pretty much, you're kind of, just hanging out and, putting in your time. But some of the actors I've met, I worked with Roger Moore on a show here at the LA Zoo, and I had the whole show on the car hauler. I had their cars and everything, and me and one other guy, I was the captain, and we worked with Roger Moore on a commercial. And, it's just... after so many years, you're bound to pick up something good. Most of the time, I've never worked on a pilot that went anywhere. Like they'll shoot a pilot and it never comes about. Oh. But to get on a show like Knight Rider and work on it sporadically from beginning to end, and then I saw some friends of mine and I showed them your car on Facebook. And they go, oh, I drove that car. And I'm thinking, you are a motorhome driver. And the only time you drove that car is when you drove it over to the trash dump where they wrecked it. Because they dropped a big steel ball. I have the picture of it. With my old boss on the crane. That's my Neil, my buddy. Wrecking the cars. And after these guys are saying that, well, I drove that. So, well, they probably did, but they didn't have to really work on the show. They worked on the show, but they didn't do what I did.
Oh, no.
They were motorhome drivers, and then when it comes down to, I did that too, because I don't know. Some people get real jealous. I always had all the toys on the set, and I'd pull up in a Ferrari or a Cobra or any. I've had cars from the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, every exotics, hot rods, dragsters, and people are always going, well, how come he gets to have all the fun? Well, that's because I did all the dirty work too. Sanding them down and picking them up and writing them up, and then you got to take them back, and the guy goes, well, this wasn't here. okay, whatever you want. But it was an experience I'll never forget. And all my friends are somehow connected to filming. I keep in touch with a lot of, most of my friends are like camera assistants and stuntmen are mostly from Jack Gill. Jack Gill saw my picture and told Joe about it. And since then, I've become friends with stuntmen from all over the world. Australia, Germany, Moscow, Croatia, South Africa, England. I know people from all over the world. Just because of Jack Gill and his stuntmen, it's such a tight union of people that have one purpose in common, and that's to make you happy. Since a lot of people, a lot of horse people now are gone. They've gotten rid of the circuses and carnivals and stuff, and these people are now trying to get into different venues. And I try to make friends with these people, and just because we all do the same thing.
Yeah. So when a truck was, when a KITT car was backed down from the truck, from the hauler, how did it work? Did you drive it to set, or how did that work? And who did you deliver it to?
Well, you take it where we want it wherever they want it. When we went up to San Francisco, we went to Harrodsburg up in Northern California, the wine country, for that diamond show. Yeah. And we got up there with the two trucks, and they wanted that car right now. So we bought the trucks nose to nose. We took off the two cars I had on, because to take off the top cars, you have to take off the cars underneath. Yeah. So my car didn't, so we came head to head. They took off two cars off mine, took the main car off the front of the other one, drove it right across and down off the other one, like a bridge. And they got in that car, and I mean, that's the last time you see them. These stunt guys, they just take the truck, they take the cars, get out of the way, we're going to tear up something. No more dialogue, we don't want to have any sound or anything. We're just going to tear up something. And these guys are good. I worked with, Al Jones worked with Jack Gill, and very nice people to work with. And they always they give you, let you know what's going on, this is what's going to happen, and this is what we need to happen. And we need the car, usually I'd pull right up on the set with the truck, drop the chains and just get them on the ground, and they would take them away. But I hung out with the mechanics. There was two mechanics. They had the little cube van with the red. It was a red and white van, and you'll see it a lot in the background, but that was the mechanics. Willie Stabile was the main mechanic, and I pretty much took orders from him. And, Bill, we need this car, this car's got to go here, and this car's got to go there. And we need this car in the shop, and then take this other car wherever it needs to go. And it's just like, you just, okay, whatever it takes. And generally, you'd pull right up on the set, right in front of everybody, drop the chains, boom, just wow. I once unloaded 7 cars in 7 minutes by myself. And it's like you have a rhythm. I didn't need a flashlight at nighttime to put the chains on the cars, because I knew where the hooks, how to, and you just get in there and you chain it down, and you get in that truck and go. Yeah. And everybody sees you. It's like you drive down the road, and, there's almost accidents. People go, look, there goes 7 KITT cars on a truck. And it's like, wow. And it's you're sitting there going, yeah, I'm pretty cool to be doing this.
Yeah, I must say that it's impressive. It is the type of picture that I enjoy very, very much, looking at a car hauler with full of KITT cars. It's
well, yeah, and I did a show called what's it called? Vertical. I had these Cadillacs, brand new Cadillacs, and they they'd been cut off. Special effects cut all the roofs off, and there was like 4 of them, and I had them on my top of my car carrier, and I had to take them down to Arizona, and it looked like I'd hit every bridge going there because of these cars were they took a torch and cut the roofs off. It looked like I was driving down the road and hit a bridge, and people would look at you like, you're pretty stupid, for tearing up those brand new Cadillacs like that. But it was, it's part of the show, and people just, they, I don't know, it's just kind of showing off. You get out there and, I get to play with all the toys.
Okay, yeah. So any special memories of really smashed up KITT cars?
So what?
Of really smashed up KITT cars.
Not, I was never on the set. We'd have, you take the whole whatever's left back, but I don't remember seeing smashed up really bad. I don't recall seeing I know they did. I know that they bring them in, and they need to be worked on. But I don't remember witnessing any crashes, because I never went anywhere near. I'd bring the cars, and then when they were done, I'd take them away. Yeah. But other shows, I would have to get involved. I'd have to be on the set and do everything. But these guys, they had their own. Michael would get in the car, and you just let them do what they want. You don't make any suggestions, or they tell you what to do.
Yeah. Okay. So coming to an end, it's been very interesting, and it's been so nice talking to you. But I want to end off because you told me that you have a favorite vehicle of your own.
Yes, 2 years ago I went and bought a new Harley Davidson, and it's called a Breakout, and it's a soft tail. It means it doesn't have the shock, the twin shocks for the rear tire. It's all integrated, in a monoshock type situation, but it looks like a chopper. It's like a factory Harley Davidson chopper it has the biggest motor and the smallest front. It's a 700-pound bike, and it's about the fastest thing I think I've ever been on. And I mean, you can get out. I can just cream anything out of the hole. I can get you at a stop sign, and you'd never see me again. It's just. I mean, you're just so fast. It's just an incredible bike, and I gotta be careful. I sometimes you get a little. Let's see what I'll do, but maybe just open it up on the freeway a little bit. So it's just a super bike, and I'm going to take it out today. It's supposed to get up to 80, and it's clear, and the pollen count is down. So I'm thinking about taking it out today. I like to just go on the local freeways and just 70 miles an hour, drive around for about an hour. And, everybody just goes, wow, like it's such a radical looking bike. The rear tire on it is about that wide, and it has the drag bars, and it looks like it's going 100 miles an hour sitting still. But when I get on that and I ride up where they did Night Rider, it's just like, I feel like I'm the Night Rider. This is my reward, and this is all for me now, not for you.
Yeah. Okay, Bill, it's been fabulous that you took the time to talk to us. I hope.
Anytime, just let me, maybe we can get a little more nailed down on, what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But just I dated one of the hair and makeup girls a few years ago, and she had the crew photo, and she had a jacket, and she knew we know all the people, and then with Joe, there's a lot of people that I know that Joe knows, and it's like special effects guys, people I've worked on. I worked with one guy. It was remember when they put the headers and the flames on KITT?
Yeah.
One of the shows. Well,
yeah.
I know the special effects guy. Joe has a picture, and he says, "Do you know who is this?" And I said, "Well, that's Larry, the special effects guy." And I also worked with him on the Tour of Duty show about Vietnam, and that was back in 1980. So when Knight Rider was going on, when I wasn't working on Knight Rider, I was either doing commercials or hauling cars on another show. Because they wouldn't let me relax too much.
No.
If you're the new guy, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that.
Great.
And so this is really pretty exciting for me. I hope you can edit this to where nobody will kill me, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing this, and I'm hoping that maybe we can do it again.
Yeah, I bet we can, and I would love to do a follow up sometime. So
sure.
But for today, I'd like to say thanks so much, Bill. It's been a joy hearing about your work on the show about bringing all these KITT cars safely around to the filming locations. So take care and have a lot of fantastic rides on your Harley in the future.
Well, thanks, Jake.